Hey folks, Steve here with another NATO The Cold War Goes Hot video for you today. We're going to be trying to get through the Baltic Approaches, turns 3, maybe 4, maybe beyond in this video. We'll see where I get. You can tell by reading the video title. Couple of corrections I need to make in the midst of all of this. Um, so one mistake. I had trouble finding in the moment the rules that precluded us using ground movement and then helicopter movement, but the detailed sequence of play, as written in the rule book, seems to indicate you can use helicopter movement if you did no other movement. That's where it says it. It doesn't say that in. I had trouble finding it in the actual movement section of the rules, and maybe it's still in there. But it's in the sequence of play description, which I mean, I that was a place to look, and I found it, so I got my answer. So I had this airborne brigade further up; they're further back. Not a big deal. We're kind of getting there. That unit is catching up enough that they're going to be able to join the fray here soon. And we've got a couple different ways that we can try to be doing that, but right now it is what it is. So corrected that. Other thing, I had to put out of combat supply markers on all these guys. Why is that? Well, I had forgotten that once you are outside of friendly territory, if you go beyond an HQ support range, you're actually not going to be in combat supply. So when they attack that city, in addition to eating crap and not performing very well, um, they are out of combat supply. So they rushed so far ahead and they did their combat. We were supposed to do the combat supply check, and I thought that they were okay, and then I had to look again and go, oh no, wait, no, they're not okay. That's my bad, and I need to put those out of combat supply markers. So these are differentiated. See the kind of a weird, from far away it looks weird, and then you get close to it and you realize it's empty shells, um, ammunition shells, or the are the I, icons there. I'm going to drill on the game for a second, okay? Don't think that this is a bad game because it's a good game. I'm feeling as I'm playing it, I'm enjoying it, and it's the intermix of mechanics are very interesting. But the markers, man, they kill me, dude. They kill me because look how much white space is on this counter right now. It's a huge amount of white space. Um, where they could have said, uh, like combat supply with a strike through it or something, where it's a little easier to just know what is that supposed to be. All these markers are like listed in the rule book. You can see them and go, oh, okay, that is supposed to be a disruption marker. That is supposed to be an out of supply marker. That's an HQ out of supply marker, and so on and so forth. But they're just not that differentiated from each other. And um, again, some of the markers, I think I've said this before, are like pictures of planes and explosions, and they mean different things, or they're just explosions. And an explosion can mean anything. So, what I think there was some regression in the final phases where they made these markers less language descriptive, and maybe that's helpful. Um, if you're, I don't know, you are using a different language than English to communicate or something, but there's so much room on the counter to just put a word like um, disrupted that it feels a little funky. I would have just preferred the markers just say the thing, or put an abbreviation or something. So it's like, okay, yeah, that is a disruption. This other marker is for interdiction or whatever, rather than now having to interpret it, and make sure that I recognize which picture is which. That you would think that's not hard, and it's not hard. Maybe I'm just complaining. I don't know. But it seems really easy to just put no combat supply on that counter rather than just the empty shells. And it almost makes me want to go grab another game and, like, I don't know, get some DG markers out of my OCS games and use them as disruption markers, because they act pretty functionally similarly. Or I even have some games that use the word disruption on counters, and I could put them on units rather than the explosion, and it would just be clearer. So anyway, that's one little frustration. I mean, other than that, the game is, so far so good. That's the one thing that's just bugging me. It's just bugging me. All right, so we got to do third turn. We got to do some things. So let's start. Okay, so starting off with the joint player turn here for turn 3. Really no major status phase things to do here, just fixing up our lift commands. But for joint reinforcement, we've got a particularly new thing we have not yet encountered, which is the return of a destroyed HQ being reconstituted. So we have the Land Ute HQ unit for Germans and Danish forces, and we can put it in a free city, any friendly free city on the map that is in supply and not adjacent to enemy unit. Well, I think the best choice is right here. So now this gives us a step in the only open city that we really would be concerned with. Well, for whatever good that single step's going to do us, again, it's something on the map. That's really important for us. So that's good. Next turn, the Soviets are going to get their destroyed Baltic core HQ, but we'll have to put it in some place like Rostock or something, or our reserve box. And we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with it, I guess, because we really are hurting for lift command capability, and things aren't going to be going so swell before too long there. So what other reinforcements we get? Well, we're also going to get another British unit, though this appears to just be an infantry unit. It has an S reinforcement, which means basically that's going to come in via, I want to say shipping. Sea reinforcements. Okay. So, strategic reserve box. So, I mean, fundamentally, we'll just stick that guy right there so we know he's there. We're going to ship him in somewhere. Now, you can imagine already, right? We could try to ship him right into the same place. However, the last time we tried that, we got murderized. So I might have to make a different choice there where I want that unit to get shipped into, but we can try again. That's not a big deal. We still have some sea lift capability to do just that. So that's our option. And then we also have a German armor brigade, which is kind of interesting to get at this point in the game. And let's see. This is actually a... Oh, this is interesting. This is a code I don't recognize. SRS? No, it's not. It's not new. I just forgot. I just put it in the hex that it says it should come in 2115, which 2115, which is right here. Oh, okay. So I did not go through that hex, and I did not. I should have done that. I wasn't sure if that unit was going to come in this scenario, but he does. Ooh. Okay. Should I just go back and fix it? I feel like I should. So would I have been able to do that? I'm going to just let the Soviets have this, because otherwise it's going to be bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a slightly different path. That hex would be conquered, and we wouldn't get this unit, I think, is the way I want to do this, because that makes it even worse for these poor guys. Yeah, okay. A reserve reinforcement unit due to arrive at a reserve site that bears an enemy conquered marker is eliminated. So we will not get this on the board as the allies. I'm making that correction because I totally spaced about the red triangle spaces, and I could have done this. It not even really a question that I should have been able to succeed at doing it. Things are bad enough for the Soviets right now, and I want to keep this scenario at least somewhat more interesting. But could you imagine for a second that unit just showing up, marching into Kiel behind the Soviets, or at least forcing them to draw off more units? I mean, they would just be totally hosed. So I got to keep this. I got to keep it going, guys. I can't just hand it over like that. Just not going to happen. Okay, so now we're going to go to our Warsaw Pact HQ supply phase. Well, right now there's not much more to do. All the relevant HQs are either unable to move and are going to leave the game here shortly and don't have any supply issues, so it's fine that they're in supply, or they're still on a train and they're working their way west, and we haven't done our rail movement. So Warsaw Pact HQ supply phase this turn, easy peasy. Now we get to the movement supply segment. Boy, what do I want to do? Given the circumstances, with these guys out of combat supply, and that's really a problem, I think what I'm going to do, well, this is tough. I think I'm just going to go ahead and try to resupply this guy, maybe. Or I'm resupplying via just a little tiny attempt one of our units near the front and try to get them some supply this turn. But honestly, I don't think we need to do that. So I'll try to get something across the water to this poor guy and see if that can do anything for us. Ooh, that might not be enough. So Warsaw Pact, that's still enemy airspace for better or for worse. The R in a Zoc, so that I rolled a 6, goes down to 5, and yeah, so that fails. So we do not manage to supply that unit right here. We failed. So that's a bummer. That is a bummer. Yeesh. Okay. So now here's the next sad part for the Soviets. With the movement supply being calculated, unfortunately, we are out of movement supply. Tracing back from our HQ. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy is fine, but both of these units here are out of movement supply. So just putting a marker for each unit. And technically all these guys are, but right now I'm just going to remember that they are also out of movement supply without adding even more counters to the pile. Because we're too far from an HQ. So I am, it's funny, we learning a harsh lesson here in our intro scenario that, at least in this circumstance where this HQ is not able to be moved, right? This would be different, I guess. We are, we just can't get supply forward. We're waiting for our reinforcement HQ. Once that gets moved up, then that's really not going to be a problem for us. We've taken control of Kiel, which makes this a really easy trace from here to here, but we need the HQ forward from Kiel for supply tracing. We need to get, you could imagine, let's look at this HQ for a second. 6. So from our front line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even if we can get our HQ up to here, we'll get everybody back in supply, and then we just continue moving forward. So this is going to be kind of a lull turn. Now, this is the difference between movement and combat supply. Our movement supply guys still, or our units that have the marker right here, that are out of movement supply, still have combat supply, right? You can spend it as needed, and so once it's gone, though, that's your problem. So these guys can still drive forward, albeit with half their movement capability, which is all they really need, because we're going to get our mechanized infantry up against that city, and then they can spend their combat supply taking the city. We'll have the armor units, if not move back, stay stationary, um, and then basically, um, what do you call it? By the time the HQ catches up, we'll be able to surge forward. But of course, the NATO forces will be continuing to harden their defenses in whichever way they think they'll be able to. So, kind of a weird situation there with supply, but this is teaching a very good lesson in terms of playing this game of like, hey, once you're in enemy territory, those HQs are hyper important, and if you're losing your HQs, well, that can cause other problems. Okay, so now let's talk rail movement. So we can look at the rail movement. This is a remove and train markers. So we will go ahead and do that. And so now our HQ, now we could have kept moving it via rail, but we wouldn't get the HQ benefits. And we can get this guy into range such that this won't be a problem for us, I don't think. So again, wanting to count back 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, no. All right. Well, maybe we pull our units back a hex or something. I don't know. This is going to be maybe one issue that we're just going to have to get figured out. I would want to do the march movement, but HQs can't, so that's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's too bad. That's funny though. Okay, well, we're going to have to hang tough. Alternatively, I really could. Oh no, because rail movement, you're going to start to have issues with rail movement due to the enemy airspace. See, this is not frustrating. This is interesting. Trying to look at all the layers of the air cover, the highly modern, mechanized technical forces on the map. It is interesting. So okay, so much for that. I don't think I'm going to try to do any other rail moves right now. There's really just not much to do. So now we have air and sea movement. Now this is where we can potentially make some choices. I would maybe want to have this guy deploy with a helicopter and maybe get someplace. And then we also have this guy that could come in. I don't see us making any more headway against Copenhagen. At the same time, this guy is in trouble. So what can we do? Well, we can certainly try to evac a unit and get them, try to pick them up and bring them home. That's one thing we could try to do. We could potentially get these guys moving with helicopter operations, and I do like that thought that we should try that. Get some concentric attacks so we can clear that city and keep moving, even with the supply situation kind of slowing us down a good deal. So give me a sec here. I'm going to think about it off camera, and I'll implement what I'm going to do. Okay, I think I figured out what I want to do. And again, this is one of those really interesting things where you start to figure out how all the little systems work together, and just how big a deal some of these capabilities are like helicopter movement. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to try to paradrop a force to here, right? That's the idea. That's our last airborne unit from our strategic reserve. Is going to help us get through this city and continue up the neck of Denmark. We got to try. Now, this is subject to not flak, but potential interception. Now, the nice thing is this is contested airspace, so this is actually better for us. Is it contested airspace? Crap. Are our units supplied? We do. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, this unit, which is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is in supply. He's providing the air, I don't know what you want to call it, the airspace support needed for this to be contested airspace. We are dropping in a ZOC, so there's a -1, but because this is a surprise scenario, we are rolling on a better column and a better table and column for interception. So, yeah, we're going to do it. Contested airspace and a 4, but with the -1 of 5 would hurt us here. And we got a 6, so a 6 -1 is a 5. That is greater than 4. We are safe. So I'm going to go ahead and let that guy drop there. And he doesn't even really need to be part of the attack if we don't want him to be. But that is going to work just fine. So now we have our ground movement again. There's going to be some slowness to what we have going on here, but we can go basically, well, let's make sure we can get where we want to go. So we have half movement. And half movement, 1, 2, 3. And this guy's coming up like so. Some of these counters, man. 1, 2, 3. And then this guy's got full movement. That's important. Going 1, 2, 3. Which should get him, basically we're more or less where we need to be. We're also going to move these guys up. There's just not as much for them to do right now. I am going to deploy them, but not yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So nearly at the front lines. That's all great. This guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you might wonder at that, but you'll understand here in a moment. So we're moving up like so. That's it for ground movement, and now we have helicopter movement. So what are we doing with our helicopter? Well, we still have helicopter capability, and we can deploy our helicopter in enemy airspace. So that's what we're going to do. And how are we doing this? We're going to be performing a helicopter extraction operation. So this is the first time we're doing this. So first things first, a helicopter command is placed in any land hex on the map that is not in an EZOC and can trace a line of supply not exceeding 10 hexes. And from the starting hex, I guess I didn't have to move the HQ there. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. So a helicopter command can move up to 10 hexes on each leg without regard to the type of terrain. It may freely cross blocked and all C hex size. It may also enter all C hexes and enemy-controlled city hexes, but may not end its movement in such hexes. Finally, although a helicopter may never start its outbound leg in an EZOC, it may freely enter hexes in an EZOC and hexes containing enemy units. However, we are going to be subject to flak, so that is going to occur. And then on the return, the destination hex, the 10 hexes back, is going to put the destination hex must be a land hex and cannot be an enemy-controlled city hex. The operation is insertion, that doesn't matter. If the operation is an extraction, then the destination hex for the outbound leg is the hex where the passenger unit will be picked up. Okay. And then we're going to return. It must be a land hex that can trace a line of supply. Cannot be in an enemy EZOC. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I guess the HQ doesn't matter. I don't know why I thought it did. Maybe I'm thinking of attack helicopters. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well, we're gonna try it. It'll make sense to be on the HQ, I guess. But 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't really matter, I guess. But it'll be convenient that the unit will be with our HQ, I guess. So we'll do it that way. I don't care. So hey, we got a helicopter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to pick up the unit, but we're going to have flak. So, so this is the case where if it gets shot down due to flak, the helicopter is always shot down in the hex it is entering, not the hex it is leaving. The only hex that we are entering that has a ZOC is the one with our buddies in it. So if it gets shot down, I believe that just means that the helicopter is destroyed, not the unit. It does not get shot down with the helicopters. Let me double check that. Now I'm reading, I'm like, oh, maybe it's not how it works. Okay, yeah, we still roll for the helicopter as it enters that hex. If we don't get shot down, we can pick up the unit and come home. So we're going to roll, and basically we want to not roll a 1. And we don't roll a 1. So we're going to go, we pick this guy up, and then we leave, and we'll come back, and this guy will go to the recovery box. So there we go. We had a helicopter extraction. You can't extract with planes, right? So if you're going to drop airborne units, but you want to quickly get them out of a sticky situation, you're going to have to do it with helicopters. And we just did. So that was good. Now, unfortunately, these markers have to stay on the unit until I think the next movement supply go around for what it matters. So, yeah. Anyway, point is, we got them out. That was goodness. So now we have the recovery phase. We would remove disrupted markers from friendly maneuver units. I don't think I have any. Yeah, we did have that one. So that guy goes away. I don't think we had any others of note. I'll make sure they're removed until we see otherwise. And now we're going to get into the battle planning phase. Well, right now, there's only one battle, and it's going to be against that city. I'm not even going to mark it. We know what's going on. And once again, now we get an opportunity to talk about strikes. I don't want to do any chemical strikes right now. I will roll to see if that persistent marker goes away. It does not. So that poor city continues to be dealing with terrible gas problems. But I'm not going to do another chemical strike yet. I'm going to keep the 2 remaining chemical munitions in reserve. We will use them to ideally try to disrupt NATO operations when we're coming down to the wire. So now we are going to have our airstrikes segment. And I think we certainly would like to airstrike our target. I think we gotta try to do that. So we'll try the strike, and I rolled awfully. And let's see. Always have trouble finding my thing. I rolled a 1. Nothing. Nothing. Especially with the minor city. Yeah, absolutely nothing. A miss on the part of the airstrike, which is too bad. Now artillery strike, we're not going to do anything. Now we've got our combat phase. We can't do any NATO reaction movement, but we can use our own strike. I think we've got to try. And the question is, where do we want to target that strike? We could go for kind of the long move here, but I do think it is going to be most beneficial to try to target one of these mechanized forces. So we're going to try it. Yeah, so we're gonna roll the defensive strike. Let's see, are there any other modifiers? It's all contested airspace. So we'll roll it. See what happens. We got a 3. A 3 is going to be a disruption. So the step here, well, it's just this particular one. One of our strong mechanized divisions has been disrupted. Now, I still think that this is going to be a pretty good roll. Now, the lack of combat supply complicates this, but I do think that this is going to be a pretty good take for the Soviets. They will probably succeed here, even if it's exhausting ammo supplies. It's a damn shame that the NATO forces didn't actually get a step loss, because if they can attrit the Soviets enough here, they're going to start to run out of gas before they can really assault all the cities that they need. So, yeah, let's figure out the odds here. I should point out really quick before we do the combat that in the recovery phase, our out of supply markers left that paratrooper, or airborne unit, I should say. Okay, so the combat here, surrounded pretty prodigiously here, is, well, first I should point out, for the units that are out of combat supply, they are halved. For the armor units that are halved attacking the city, that's compounded. So we were really calculating like 0.25 combat strength plus this other hex, so on and so forth. To summarize it very quickly without going too laboriously through all the counters and hexes, it's 20 to 3 odds after all is said and done, which is 6 to 1 odds on the combat table. We go shift left 1 because of the city, but then we shift 2 up to 7 to 1 because of the concentric attack that our paratroopers are supporting. So what that does is it makes this, this is going to be a clean victory, kind of no matter what I roll. And I rolled a 5, which is pretty good anyway. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's very funny. That was the only result on the combat table. So again, 6 to 1, reduced down to 5 to 1, increased to 7 to 1. Rolled a 5 is the only result with an A1. Oh, goodness. So I do think the allied player definitely wants to take a step off of these guys. Wow, that's funny. Okay. But then
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We don't lose a step. This is my bad, guys. So there's a D2, but there's only one step to lose, and so we get to ignore an A1. So this unit is fine. That is a special kind of accommodation in the rules for these types of situations, I guess. So another good lesson for us to learn here in the beginner scenario. Um, okay, so they succeeded, and I mean, we don't want to go too far outside of our supply range, do we? Does it make sense here? Should we push further? I'm wondering. The other thing we should be thinking about is how far do we want to move forward after clearing the hex. I think we can only consolidate because everyone's got some kind of out of supply marker here. So I think what we'll just do is we will have, well, yeah, we'll have him advance, and we'll let the rest of these guys stand by. Now, unfortunately, because all these guys attacked, everybody's going to have some kind of significant supply problem. So right now, probably the only person I could do this, and then everybody else has every kind of supply problem. um, so there's that. So I don't know. I might just have to grab a whole bunch of these supply markers and just kind of throw them all over the board to make it look correct. I'm not sure I need to worry too much about looking correct, but you know, this guy is going to be, well, maybe all I really need to do is show all these guys are out of combat supply. Everything else is still an issue, but that. And just so that I don't forget, we will put a conquer marker on the German city. So this stack's getting kind of high. But for what it matters, we took it. So that was successful. That was good for Warsaw Pact. Combat results, joint combat supply segments, we took care of that. Reserve, we didn't have any reserves, so that's all she wrote. And yeah, so that's it for the Warsaw Pact player turn. So I mean, this was not a surprising series of events here. I think that went about as well as it could have, given we're kind of at the end of our supply tether right now. But the supply situation will get better coming into this next turn. I don't know that the NATO forces can really, say they can do much, because any attack that they might pull off really isn't going to do very well. So they're really just stalling for time. But in either case, we're going to switch it over to the NATO player turn. HQ supply, that is not an issue, so we're good there. Movement supply, not an issue. Rail movement, now this is actually kind of interesting. We may want to do some level of rail movement at some point so that we can move more units around, but I'm going to not do that yet. We are going to try air-sea movement. We are going to try air-sea movement, and I should expect to succeed here, guys. We are going to try to ship the British into. We're going to go for that port. I mean, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't try that spot. The others maybe not a huge difference. Now, is this contested space right now? Well, these guys aren't in supply. Um, so it is actually friendly. It is friendly airspace, and it is surprise, right? Because those guys aren't in supply. That's right. They're not in supply. Maybe I shouldn't have destroyed that British unit earlier. I'm wondering if I made a mistake there, but I'm just going to play through. Turn 2. So as long as I don't roll a 3, we're good. All right, we rolled 10. We are fine. So we're going to ship this guy in there. So he is good. And then we can do our ground movement. I might need to think on this, guys, about where exactly I want my units. So let me take care of movement off camera and just save us a little bit of time. Okay, I think that's it for the movement. It's really kind of hard to tell what I want to do. I'm starting to pull units away from Copenhagen, or at least changing the setup so it's not easy to get a concentric attack on it. Starting to move some units further west to put into the cities that we care about. We are putting at least 2 steps in the hexes that matter, or nearly 2 hexes, or two units per hex where I can, to try to get more defensive factors and just hold on as best we can. And that's all I feel we really can do at this point. So air sea movement's done, ground movement's done, helicopter movement there's not much of. No disrupted markers to care about. We don't have any more air points for the turn because we use them on the reactive strike. And we're not attacking anything. So we'll call that the end of turn 3, which means we can just jump right into turn 4. And here is where we'll go ahead and stick our HQ as a recovery point. Now, as I get the rest of our lift commands back, we also have some additional, just going right into the reinforcements. We do have more units. So, okay, so there would have been another German unit coming in 1918, but we took that. So we're not going to get that unit. We will get an American air mobile unit, and they're going to go in the strategic reserve for the hot second, which for now I'm just using the middle of the water there to mark that. Looking at the situation, this might be a quiet turn for the Soviets as they try to get kind of back in action because they're currently way out of sorts. We may be simply moving as fast as our HQs can go. So our HQs themselves, don't worry too much. This HQ finally gets removed. So we'll simply remove that guy from the map. And now it's all about what we have on the board to work with. I mean, I guess I could have technically picked here. Now but the reason why I'm putting them here, I feel like there's the possibility, if only as a reminder, we got to put it in the city. I could try to amphibiously drop that HQ near some place and maybe be able to be putting supply further north. It's clear a distant air paratrooper assault isn't going to work any longer. We're really not able to operate as well. Things get more dangerous over time, or is turning more dangerous over time for us. So I don't know that I can do that. What I can do is try to do more tactical drops that can support actions already in motion. So I can keep that in mind at least. But the HQ supply phase passes without issue, and we'll get into movement supply. So again, we have a bunch of units that have supply issues. And even if I try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh no, well, yeah, okay. Granted, I can't. I have to go around Lubeck. which is annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, nope. That's too bad. Okay. Movement supply is an issue still for all those units. Not our paratrooper guy here, but everybody else suffers. We're not going to do any rail movement, so now it is just air-sea operations. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. So I could try to send that HQ somewhere with a naval or a sea movement. I don't know that it's going to do us a whole lot of good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think on this. Okay, we're not gonna try. We're not gonna try to drop that Baltic Core HQ anywhere with naval movement. We are gonna try an air supply operation. I forgot to try that. Unfortunately, this could be a problem because if we're gonna try the airdrop contested, I guess it's not an enemy ZOC. So we'll try it. Let's see what we get. We succeeded. Okay. So we'll get the supply drop. I'm going to target this city here. So that way we have some capability to operate some units and at least make some progress in the turn. Okay. Yeah, we got the supply marker in. We got rid of the out of movement supply. But the combat supply still affects these guys until the recovery phase, and ideally we really need to be trying to do more movement than that. But I'm willing to hold on, and we'll see kind of where else we can get to here. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I'm going to leave this guy. I'm going to do other movement things here. So really, that was good for getting rid of movement issues, and we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll let these guys hang out in here for the moment. We'll eventually get rid of that. Kind of shortcutting some things here. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, there we got some disruption issues. All right, so just trying to move these guys up and around. Not a whole lot more I can do. I've misplaced a control marker in the process of doing this. Extra points if you can find it. That's right. We kind of got an odd stack going. So if we got all of our movement done, and we do, and again, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Yeah, see, my problem is I want these guys to recover fully by the time we do our next supply. And yeah. Yep. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. We need to clear our supply issues We just got to do it. We just got to do it. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be a tame turn, and then we're going to remove the rest of our stuff with this recovery turn. Okay, I just did that cleanup off camera, just cleaner to do it that way. So now with our movement stuff, recovery stuff done, we do our battle. I'm not going to attack here. I don't want to do that yet. I do want to attack here and clear this guy out of the way. So what we're going to do, we will choose this as our battle hex. I'm not going to mark it because I don't feel I need to. And we will try a strike. No reason not to. And we'll roll the die, see what we get. And we rolled a 1, which this is all contested airspace. Nothing else really helps. So we missed. Gosh darn it. Now the NATO strike is going to come back at us. And ideally, the NATO forces would really like to hit something with this attack. Now, I'm not using chemical strikes. I'm not doing that. Yeah, and we're going to target that mechanized infantry that's a part of the attack. And we rolled a 2, which has no real effects other than a disruption. So we will get our strange disruption marker out. And so halved on attack, it's still 10 to 1. 10 to 1. So really we're taking pot shots to try to eliminate these guys where we can. We roll a 3, D2R2, yeah. So he is eliminated, removed from the game, and then we may be able to do more here. So we advance, and we can exploit out to this bridge, and I think that's fine. So we're starting to close off sort of the Allied maneuverability of things, and we'll move forward in the next set of combats. But I think that was just fine. We're routinely eliminating NATO units, so now it's just a timing game. Can we make the right kind of strikes and attacks to do what we need to do? And that's all we need to focus on. No reserve movement. No need to deal with suppressions. So we are good. Yeah. Never mind. I cannot go the extra hex here, guys. That's my bad. Because one of those guys was disrupted, all the attackers either have to consolidate or exploit. I could only consolidate. So that's what we did. Still, that's fine. All right. Heading back to the NATO side of the turn. What are our options? Well, I do think, this is interesting. I don't know how we're going to get that airborne unit onto the map. I can ferry it, I guess. And maybe that's the only real option that we have is ferry movement, because I don't have, I could do helicopter, I guess. but I can't bring it in that way. Dang it. This is the cost of us losing our NATO airlift. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to do ferry movement with this guy, which is not as good as other forms of lift command. Air ferry. Start in a friendly airspace. Yeah. Be in movement supply, not be disrupted. We can't end in an EZOC. And we have to roll on the interception table. Interesting. Okay. All right, so we can't go into contested airspace for this. So we can't send that American unit here because now we are in enemy airspace, 1, 2, 3, 4, and beyond. We could drop them here, or can't we? They're in supply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we can go up to here. So I think we will do that. So he'll end up ferrying there. We'll have to roll interception. I don't think there's a good chance of this going sideways on us. So it's a NATO ferry in friendly airspace. We are fine. Okay. So that does us some good. We get more strength onto the board. So that's complete. Our supply stuff, I'm not worried about that. That was air movement. We got ground movement. Well, so this is where, things start to get more tricky. So do we do that? We'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that actually help us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we can't even. Yeah, I don't know. This is tricky. We could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, no, that's not really good either. See, it's like, how do you slow the Soviets down? That's really the question. How do you slow them down? Do you put more points in a single spot, try to hold something? I think we could just go like that and hold across this spanway. And it's looking less and less likely like we need to worry about Copenhagen, so I'd start to do one of these. And then we'd still want to put some kind of ZOC 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move this guy down here. So we've got multiple steps in each minor city, and maybe that's as good as it's going to get for us as NATO. We're really kind of running out of our own gas of like what can we do to hold on. Hard to say. There's only 3 turns left after this, so if we can hold on, right, and just put stuff in the way, that might be enough. So we'll say that's the end of the NATO player turn of the 4th turn. And is there anything else we can do? No, I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me do a time check here, guys. Okay, I think given how much time this has taken, I think that just closing this up as turns 3 and 4 will be just fine. I think what I'm going to do is in the next video, I'm going to aim to get through turns 5, 6, and 7 all in one video and finish the beginner scenario. As you can see, we continue to see Soviet progress, but we're still just kind of getting into the main part of Denmark. Copenhagen is held. We're trying to surge our forces forward. We finally got our supply lines kind of resolved and what we need to be doing. It's just a matter of do we have enough time um, to survive? And I'm not sure what the answer to that is yet. We're going to have to figure that out. Um, but anyway, I hope this video was somewhat interesting to you. Maybe you're looking at this and you know who's going to win, but I think there's still maybe a chance that the Soviets can win this. I'm not sure. I'm starting to become doubtful, but maybe, maybe. So we'll see in the next one, guys. Take care. Keep on gaming. We'll catch you in the next one.